hope you guys have had a good week.
Thank you.
I hope you're going to have a good week this week. If you are taking lots of tests, remember, do your best, okay? Because your teacher is watching, but not only that, God is watching. God wants to see that you're doing your best. If you have 35 pages to do on PowerPoint,
No, I just.
do your best. Conway and Cash.
That's where I invoked you to.
Conway and Cash.
No.
You guys are about to go to the hall. Mr. Jonathan's going to walk you to your dad. Go.
I just remembered. I think we're doing Star this week. Yeah, she's the clip.
Fun. Okay, so let's watch our video. You guys, last week and the week before, we were learning about Joshua. Joshua today is about to go away.
What?
He's only been a leader a short time, but now he's about to die. So he's going to give his last, he's going to go to heaven. He's going to give his last words. Let's pretend that you were about to go somewhere. Let's say you were going to go to Africa on this big safari with your family, and you were going to be gone the whole summer. You would tell your friends some things before you left, okay? Well, Joshua's going to be gone even longer, so he's going to tell all his friends, all his family, all the people of God some last words. So let's see what he tells them, what's so important to him. Because what you would say as your last words would be super important, like take good care of my dog, please watch over my turtle, please make sure nobody steals my stuff. You know, these are what Joshua says, and they're important words.
Many years had passed since Joshua and the Israelites had defeated Jericho, Ai, and the kings of the land. God allowed the Israelites to rest from battles against their enemies.
Sit in your chair.
Now Joshua was getting old and knew he would die soon. He gathered all the people of Israel because he had some important things to say to them. Joshua said, "You have seen everything the Lord your God has done. He has fought your battles for you." Then he said, "Be careful to obey everything that is in the book of the law of Moses." And he said, "If you disobey God, he will no longer help you win battles. In fact, you will die here if you disobey him." Joshua reminded all the people about the things God had done for them in the past. Joshua reminded them of everything. Like when God called Abraham and gave him a son, Isaac, and when God gave Isaac 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. He reminded them that Jacob's children went to Egypt, where God sent Moses and Aaron. Joshua told the people about how God had rescued the Israelites from the Egyptians, bringing them safely across the Red Sea and saving them from the Egyptians who were chasing them. Joshua reminded them of the many battles they had fought and won because God was fighting for them. God had done so many great things for his people. Joshua commanded the people to make a choice. Fear the Lord and worship him. If you don't want to worship God, choose to worship the God your fathers worshipped. As for me and my family, we will worship Yahweh, he said. The people replied, "We will certainly not abandon the Lord to worship other gods. We know how much God has done for us, and we love him." Joshua warned the people, if you do abandon God to worship other gods, God will turn against you and harm you. He will destroy you after all of the good things he has done for you. "No," the people said, "we will worship Yahweh." On that day, Joshua made a covenant with the people. He set up a large stone under an oak tree next to the sanctuary of the Lord. Joshua said, "This stone will be a reminder of your duty to serve the Lord, who fulfilled every promise in bringing you into this land." Then Joshua sent the people away, and each man went home. As Joshua prepared for his own death, he left a legacy of obedience to God. After Jesus' death and resurrection, he appeared to the disciples and left them with a legacy: to make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything Jesus commanded.
Okay.
Do you want to sign on the paper?
Write down things that you're going to leave to other people. But right here, legacy is the word. You just see whatever words you can make. Like, can you make leg out of those letters? Yes, you write leg. Any words you can make out of that word, legacy. We're going to talk about what legacy means in a minute. Okay, so everybody is in a spot. You're listening. Okay, so Joshua, the first thing he does when he's about to die is he reminds them of all the good things God has done for them. Now remember, we started in the Old Testament back in like August or September, and we started talking about God made the world, and then the flood happened, the Tower of Babel, like all these things. We've been going through the Bible. Shh. And now we're in the book of Joshua, and Joshua's about to die. Now, after this is going to come some crazy years, okay? They're going to have judges. They're not going to have a leader anymore. Like Moses and Joshua were the leaders, they're going to have judges. And then they're going to decide, we don't want judges, we want a king. We want to be like everybody else. And so we're about to get into some crazy days. But right now, Joshua is still their leader. And Joshua's like, okay, guys, listen. It's really, 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 really important that you make a choice of what you're going to do. Okay? So let's think about this. If your mom or dad come to you and they say, okay, do you want pepperoni pizza? Conway, sit down. Girls, get what you need and go sit down. Quick. Do you want pepperoni pizza or cheese pizza? You're like, you know.
Pepperoni and cheese.
Some of you are real picky. And you might be like, I only want cheese for sure. Some of you be like, you know what? It doesn't matter either way. But if you eat pepperoni pizza or you eat cheese pizza, it's not going to make that big. It's not going to make that big of a difference on you because they're kind of the same thing. Now, if your mom said, do you want to eat 3 oranges or do you want to eat 3 bowls of ice cream? That would make a huge difference because 3 oranges are going to help you feel good. They're going to help you go to the bathroom good. They're going to help you have good feelings. You eat 3 bowls of ice cream.
You love ice cream.
Your head is going to hurt. Your stomach is going to hurt. You're going to have a hard time going to the bathroom. Like, that's a big difference. And Joshua is giving them not just a little bitty choice, not just a medium choice. He's giving them a huge choice. He's saying, all right, I'm going to draw a line. And I want you to choose. Do you want to worship God or do you want to worship other things? He didn't say, do you want to worship the god Baal or the god Ashtoreth or whatever. No. He said, do you want to worship God or anything else? That could be your kids, your cars, like when they worship the golden calf. It could be a rock. It could be statues. It could be anything. He said, you got to make a choice. Not just what you're going to eat, not just what you're going to do. Like, this choice is huge. It's going to make all the difference in the world. Conway, you're not going to get your candy today because you cannot stay in your area. Okay? Get in your area. So Joshua said, look, this is how it's going to go. He said, as for me and my house, which on the back of y'all's paper that you're coloring, there's a maze. And you're supposed to find the way, and it'll do that verse. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's what Joshua said. Joshua said, I don't know what y'all are going to do.
No, it technically said we will serve Yahweh.
We will serve Yahweh. Okay. He said, I don't know what y'all are going to do, but I'm going to choose to worship God. Now, Jaden, shh, 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 shh. All of you in this room have siblings. Every one of you. You're going to have some brothers and some sisters that are going to be like, I'm going to worship God. I'm going to choose to obey Him, to serve Him, to love Him, to follow Him. I'm all in. I'm going to come to church. I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And then you're going to have some of your siblings that are going to be like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really care. And so Joshua knew some of these people are going to have to make a choice, and they're going to have to make it now. So the first thing he tells them is, remember all that God has done for you. Okay? Remember that God made Abraham. And that Abraham had a son. And then his son had 2 sons. And then his son had 12 sons. And those 12 sons have now made these 12 tribes. And look at all these people. God kept his promise. There's a lot of people. We have a lot of land. We have conquered our enemies. We fought not only the battle of Jericho, we fought not only the battle of Ai, we've won battle after battle after battle, and now we have all this land because God fought the battles for us. But now, here's the problem. If you don't keep choosing God and following God, God's not going to fight the battles for us anymore. God's just going to be like, oh, okay, you don't want to obey me? You don't want to love me? Fine. You fight your own battles. And then you're going to lose. And you're going to get captured. And you're going to be taken over by the enemies. And they're going to come in and they're going to hurt your families. They're going to take your stuff. Please choose to worship God. He's given them all these. He's given them all these. Remember this and watch out for this. Same thing you would do. If you went on a long trip, Jaden, you would be like, okay, you're going to watch my dog all summer. This is what I need you to tell. This is what I need to tell you. Remember, Jaden, remember my dog is a nice dog. He likes you. He's a good dog. But I'm going to warn you, if you don't scratch his belly at least twice a day, he's going to get angry. If you don't feed him 3 times a day, he gets cranky. Okay? Just same thing Joshua is saying. Guys, I'm about to leave. So remember what God has done for you and watch out, because if you don't worship God and follow him, Jaden, Rowan, then you're going to get in trouble. Not little trouble, big trouble. The difference between feeling good and being okay with 3 oranges in your belly versus 3 bowls of ice cream in your belly, you're going to get in trouble. And you're going to start to see the next couple weeks, these people.
I'd rather have a bowl of ice cream and 2 oranges.
It would be nice to have a little bit of both, yes. One time we had an ice cream social up here and people made homemade ice cream. And Caleb was probably about 10 years old. And he was like, he ate that first bowl of ice cream. And he was like, it was so good. And then he was like, can I have another bowl? And I said, yeah, you can have another bowl. He had another bowl. And then he said, can I have another bowl? And I said, Caleb, that's not a good idea. I said, you're going to make your belly hurt. But I said, you know what? Go ahead. Eat as much as you want. That boy ate 4 bowls of ice cream. And they were like good sized bowls. His belly hurt the rest of that night. His belly hurt all the next day. He told me 2 days later, he said, Mom, I don't think I'm ever going to eat that much ice cream again. I said, that's probably a good idea. And ever after that, he'd be like, I just want 1 bowl of ice cream. I'm like, that's a good idea. Because it will mess you up. And God and Joshua know that if these people don't follow God, it's going to mess them up. Now, those of you who have the coloring page, you see Joshua set up this big old rock. You have to take that home to get out of my class. So, Mom's going to see that. Okay, Joshua set up this big old rock. Remember when they went across, Jaden, Jaden, remember when they went across the Jordan River?
Yeah.
And they told everybody that they needed to get 12 stones. 1 person from each tribe got a stone and they set up that altar. Well, now Joshua's taking a big, big old rock. This rock isn't going to move, is it? No, the wind, the rain, it's not going to move it. So they'll always be able to see this rock. And he's saying, when you look at this rock, you need to remember what God has done for you. And you need to be warned. Rowan, Jaden, shh. You need to be warned, if you don't worship God, you're going to get in big trouble. You're going to walk a path that's not good. Okay? All right, those of you who have this other paper, did y'all figure out the code?
Yeah, I figured out the code.
What does it say?
We will worship Yahweh.
We will worship Yahweh. That's what the people told him. They're like, we will worship God. Now, let me show you this word, Yahweh, because you might be confused. So, we spell it this way. Okay? But the Hebrews did not have vowels. Okay? So, they spelled it, wow, they spelled it like this. Okay, this is how they spelled it. But that was their most important word for God. They had lots of words for God. But this was their most important word for God, and they called it Yahweh. Okay? So when they say we will worship Yahweh, they're saying we will worship God. Only God. Not our stuff. Not ourself. Because some of y'all worship yourself. You're like, well, I want to play, and I don't want to do my homework, and I don't want to obey my parents, and I want to have time on my Xbox, and I don't want to do my chores, and you worship yourself. Some of you worship your stuff. You're like, don't touch my Xbox. Don't touch my dog. Don't touch my clothes. Those are my shoes. Stay away from them. Hey, everybody needs to find us your spot. Find your spot. We're not done yet. So some people worship stuff. Some people worship like a celebrity or somebody really important in their life. Like, oh my goodness, he's the best basketball player ever. I wear all his shirts. I have his shoes. I have pictures of him on my wall. I think he's amazing. Some of you worship food. Okay? Some of you are like, I eat all day long. I love it. I'm going to do it all day long. And I'm going to eat what I want. I don't care. It is kind of called worshiping. When we love something more than God. Okay? Now, on the big kids paper it said legacy. Does anybody know what a legacy is?
No. It's something left to another person or to people.
Yes. Legacy is something you leave. When I leave, I hope that I've left you to know you got to love God. When I leave, I hope I leave my kids the knowledge that I love them, that they're important, that they should love God, things like that. Your parents are going to leave you a legacy. You're leaving a legacy. If something happened to you right now, I hope nothing is, but kids are going to remember you a certain way. They're going to be like, you know what? That kid was really mean. Or that kid never listened. Or that kid, he was really smart. Or that kid, he was always kind to me and loving. I had a good friend when I was in 3rd grade. Jaden, hold that still. I had a good friend when I was in 3rd grade. She died. She was only 9 years old. She had a disease called cystic fibrosis, which now they have better drugs and medicines that help with that. But she was tiny. Her little arms were super tiny. Her little legs were super tiny. But her belly was really, really big. It's a disease that makes it where your body can't filter out the bad stuff. So it just hurt Renee. So the bad stuff just collects in your stomach. And so her stomach got bigger and bigger and bigger, but everywhere else she was so tiny. And they couldn't help her. And so she died when she was only 9 years old. And we filled a church full of people. It was so full. There were so many people there. But she left a legacy even though she was 9 years old. We remembered her as a sweet little girl who was kind to everybody. And she never said a mean word. Even though she was sick and she didn't feel good, she was so nice to everybody. She left a legacy. You're going to leave a legacy. Joshua left a legacy. He taught those people, hey, you better remember what God has done, and you better watch out and do what God says. You're leaving a legacy. What kind of legacy are you leaving? Okay? All right. Now, everybody is going to clean up in 1 minute. We're going to put our colors up and our chairs up because we're going to play a game. Let me tell the people at home what game we're playing. We're going to play a game kind of like Would You Rather. And I'm going to give them a choice, just like Joshua gave them a choice. And they're going to go from one side of the room to the other when they pick a choice. So I'm going to give them examples like, would you rather have a dog or a cat? And you just make up choices at home and run to either side of the room. So those of you at home, have a good week. I love you. And see you next time. All right, everybody here.